How you doing? So how does Diablo's buff gonna look like? So we now know he's going to get a buff. So I believe he's gonna be live on July 5th on Monday. Right now it is Sunday, June 27. I don't want to post this video until Monday, July 5th because every time I talked about a buff, about being good, what does Gambit do? They end up nerfing the buff. For example, Gambit, I thought about his buff was gonna be really good, and a lot of people thought his buff wasn't gonna be good, but I thought his buff was gonna be really good. And what did they do to Gambit? They nerf his buff. They reduce his potency from his prowess from 40% to 30% for each prowess that he gets. I was gonna say, man, at 40% for each prowess, he's gonna hit like a truck, and nobody was like thought his buff was gonna be good. I was like, and then what did the Kabam do? They nerfed him. They nerfed Gambit. And then I talked about Black Panther's buff, how awesome this guy was gonna be with synergy. What did Kabam do? They nerfed Black Panther's synergy. So I don't want to post this video until the update comes live because I gotta tell you, Diablo's buff is amazing on paper. I mean, it's just there's no way they could go wrong with his buff. I mean, I think Kabam did really amazing job when it comes to Diablo's buff. Uh, it's also, I believe, an overwork. I forgot what's the exact name of it, but it's not a tiny buff. It's like they really worked on Diablo's buff. They really, I think you gotta give Kabam its credits due because this buff looks amazing. I think this buff looks like um yeah, I think it's called the rework. They rework Diablos. They didn't do like a tiny tune-up or a moderate buff. This looks like a rework as far as I know, and it looks amazing. I think it's like Colossus level, Red Magneto level buff. I mean, arguably even better than that. That's how good this buff is when it comes to Diablo. I think I would easily put him at number 2, if not number 1, as far as the best Mystic champion in the game with this buff. If you're not running Liquid Courage or Double Edge, then I would say Doctor Doom is still the best Mystic champion in the game. But if you are running Liquid Courage or Double Edge, Diablo is by far the best champion, the best Mystic champion in the game when it comes to his buff. I'm not going to point out all of Diablo's buff because there are so many. I'm just going to point out the really good ones. Probably the most powerful one that he has is now going to be 100% reduced potency from poison. So that means you can run Liquid Courage in willpower. That means she's not only is getting that extra 30% attack bonus from Liquid Courage, he's gonna be healing from it if you're running willpower. This will make him really good. That's probably the best buff that he got from Diablo's buff. I mean, if that was the only buff that he got, he could easily be in the top 10 as far as Mystic class. But that's not all of the buff that he got. Another buff that he got is from his signature ability that I think is really important. I just took my Diablo to rank 3. Depending on his signature ability, I'm willing to take him to max sig to rank 5 as a 5-star. His buff, his signature ability is so useful. I think it says while poison, Diablo takes 30% reduced damage from all sources. That's insane. That's pretty nuts. And then while the opponent is poisoned, Diablo gains X amount of attack rating. That's really good. If you have an equity on, you can reduce opponent's attack by another 36%. So that means like you're gonna be able to reduce opponent by 66%. So basically, if you have, I'm assuming this would be max sig at 30% reduced damage, and you have max equity at 30% reduced damage, that's gonna be 66%. Basically, you're gonna be able to reduce opponents' damage by 1/3. By 1/3. That's insane. That's really insane. I wonder if they're gonna keep that ability or keep any of his buffs currently right now, because it's really, really good. I mean, let me just point out another buff that is really good about him. I haven't even mentioned about his ability to poison opponent. He can basically he can stack up to 20 on his when it comes to his poison debuff. I would give this 9.5 out of 10 as far as buff is going to be. I would have gave it a 9.9 out of 10 if they hadn't put a limit on his poison debuff max stack, or at least it should be a 50. 20 is just too little in my opinion, but the fact that for every poison, I believe, that you put on an opponent, you reduce healing ability by 30%, and being able to stack poison on an opponent is not going to be that difficult. So he can pretty much completely heal block opponents, which is what makes this buff so good as well, because he can heal block opponents once he's setting up poison debuff on the opponent. And it's not that hard to poison the opponent if they're not poison immune. All you gotta do is throw a heavy attack, which is gonna be 100% chance to inflict a poison debuff, which is amazing. Let me just think about his philosopher's mix. Another what makes his buff so good is the essence of null. Every 2 seconds, 100% chance to nullify one buff on the opponent. So if you have a champion opponent that keeps getting buffs all the time, this is such a powerful buff. I mean, powerful utility that Diablo has. Basically, like, also if you're running Mystic Dispersion, oh man, he's gonna be getting so much power because he keeps nullifying buffs every 2 seconds with this utility. So the good thing about his throwing Mystic Dispersion is when you throw the special 3, all you gotta do, which I thought was a genius idea by Kabam, once you throw the special 3, it's not gonna activate anymore. It goes through now you're pretty much gonna be like Realm of Legends, where they don't have special 3 abilities, which I think in his case it's gonna be a plus, because he's gonna, if you're running Mystic Dispersion especially, you're gonna be getting so much power that you're gonna be accidentally going to special 3 all the time in some cases. So it's like, okay, it's gonna be able to, like, instead of being able to a special 3, you can go to a special 2, then go to a special 1. That's what's so good about the way they designed it. I'm really thinking that they spent a lot of time on it, which is they did a really, really good job. And I didn't even mention about how much damage he can give on his poison. I'm telling you, I think he's gonna be the Poison King. I think that's what they even says on the title. He's gonna be the Poison King, and I think he's gonna be able to damage Abomination with the Guardian synergy, and he's also going to be able to out damage Immortal Abomination as well when it comes to dealing poison. So he has regeneration, he has amazing damage output, he has 100% poison resistant. I mean, those are insane. I didn't even mention about other things that he has when it comes to his pre-fight ability, that you can distill will. Incoming energy damage cause Diablo to passively heal 70% of the damage taken. So that's pretty nuts. If you're going up against the Magnetos, Professor X, I believe, what is that? Sorcerer Supreme, he's gonna be healing 70% of the damage taken. That's insane. Also, he can have immunity to stun, so that's great for enroaching stun nodes. So basically how it works, I think the way they design it is so well, because the free fight ability is from, I mean, this basically, if you don't activate free fight ability, he's gonna get the most damage. You can deal the most damage from your opponent. But let's say you want to trade a little bit of utility, you from Diablo, you pretty much activate one of your free fight abilities, and it's worth it for certain matches, like, you know, like against cosmic champions that have heavy heavy buffs, he can keep nullifying their buffs. Another one is if you're going up against the Magnetos, Sorcerer Supreme, Professor X, he can heal 70% of the damage taken, because all when they throw their attacks, they're all their energy damage. So these are so powerful, and the way they the way they designed it was so well done, because instead of having the defensive part on it, not in the free fight, in the basic on the kit, they made it a free fight ability, instead of having the offense in the free fight ability, which I think is great, especially in for uh, arenas, because you're not going to be able to activate free fights and you want to focus on offense. But this is really awesome that the way they designed it. I think it's it's really really good. Honest, there's no question the best buff in 2021, and Colossus level buff, Red Magneto class buff level. This rework is really good. So when it comes to the rework, it's been pretty terrible. The only the only ones that have been really good that was reworked is obviously Colossus and Red Magneto, but this one hits it out of the park, and I gotta give Kabam credit where it's due, because this buff looks really really good. Those are my opinion, guys. What do you guys think about Diablo's buff? I think it's gonna be amazing. I hope it doesn't change. It looks so powerful to me that it might change it, and I hope they don't. All right, thank you guys.